Hi, everyone. Henry DeVries from Wealth Authority TV. And very pleased today to have an author and a CEO, David Kalinowski from Chicago. David, please tell us about your firm.
Sure. Hi, Henry. Good to see you again. I'm David Kalinowski with Proactive Worldwide. We're a strategic intelligence agency based outside of Chicago that helps to keep organizations out in front of their competition.
And an author, you've written several books. Give us the three books.
Okay, sure. Well, the first one is called New Directions, a competitive intelligence tale. That was back in 2011, and then a little time had elapsed between that and the sequel, which certainly your group has helped us out with at Indy, called The CI Driven CEO, and that's an extension. You don't have to have read the first book to be able to pick up the second one, but it is really taking the characters in these stories and being able to develop their role to become the interim CEO from the chief competitive officer mindset. And because the prior CEO didn't quite use competitive knowledge to make the right decisions. And so this person stepped down and the competitive intelligence leader stepped in. And my third book, which just came out in 2025, which I'm super excited about because it applies to the masses, not just business folks, is called the Sacrifice Paradox: How to Navigate Life's Choices and Trade-offs. And that one, whether you are a business executive or a homemaker or an athlete or an artist or a teacher or a student, we all make sacrifices. And so I address the underlying question around what if the key to success isn't about doing more, but giving up the right things?
David, for a lot of the viewers to this show, you would be an ideal prospect. You're you're a C-suite executive. You've had a good career. So the question we focus on a lot is what can financial advisors and wealth advisors do to improve the image of the industry? So we'd like to hear from the voice of the prospect on this one.
Yeah, it's interesting. We also service a lot of financial service companies, including, those that have wealth management organizations, high net worth, but also, credit cards, banking, credit unions, those types of institutions. And, I think the biggest element, there's two things. One is trust. I think continuously, keeping promises, being candid, transparent, people's finances are pretty important, and so understanding how dollars are being invested, the fees associated, with managing those investments, but just that you're getting authentic guidance and that are associated with your risk tolerance, right? I mean, depends on what your age is and what your risk tolerance, how much capital you're looking to invest, all those factors. So I think the first one is continuing to build trust with clients. And you do that by, keeping your commitments, keeping promises, not always just telling them what they want to hear, right? Being very, very transparent. The second one that I have found maybe touches more at a personal level, Henry, and that is, those in the industry have to make a lot of sacrifices. I have found that whether you are a wealth enhancement manager or a financial planner, there's a lot of thinking and time and energy that goes into helping your clients. And you got to give up some things in the process to carve out the time to make that happen. So whether it's missing the kids' soccer game, every Saturday because you're working late to get things done, or it is giving up time with the spouse because you're going out on client dinners and entertaining. And I've learned that again, depending at what stage you are in your career and what your purpose in life really is, you start to make different choices along the way. And it doesn't mean one's right or wrong, just whatever matters most to you. And so I have encouraged folks, especially in financial services and those that deal with, wealth management areas, that yes, your clients are important, and making money certainly is important, but at what cost? And what are those trade-offs? And are they really worth it? End of the day, some are, some may not.
One financial advisor I worked with, he was so successful. He was helping so many families that he never attended a family dinner. He never went to a Little League game. He never went to a dance recital. And a mentor did an intervention with him and said, "You're going to be so successful, you're going to put yourself in the grave in a couple of years." So he had to make some new decisions, sacrificed some things. Um, and actually, in the end, uh, by having a more balanced life, the business did even better. But it's tough. As you say it, it's tough. David,
It's a
anything
tough.
else you wanted to add before
Yeah,
we
it's a tough
say?
discipline, and if I may, I mean, in my book here, The Sacrifice Paradox, I have 101 stories that I talk about. And at the end of each story, and they're brief, two-page stories, at the end of each one's a reflection question. And it really just gets you to think about, what you're giving up in the process. And what I found, what I like to add, Henry, is that a lot of times people make short-term emotional decisions about what to sacrifice or making a sacrifice and don't always think about the long-term benefit or long-term consequence of making that trade-off. And so I ask a lot of folks just to pause a moment before you rush into, okay, yes, I know for 6 weeks I've been telling you, I promise this weekend we'll go out and have a date, right? At a certain point, people will stop asking. Kids will stop asking for you to come to their games, and your spouse will stop asking for you to, get together with them, and you will grow apart, and then realize it's too late to try to get that back. But it's also the everyday things we do. If you want to be healthier, are you choosing the salad when you go out to eat, or are you choosing the greasy burger, right? And just because you eat it without bread doesn't necessarily make it, any better. Uh, do you binge watch your favorite TV shows when you have that spare hour available, or do you use that time instead to work out, right? What are you trying to accomplish? What are those trade-offs you're willing to make? And I find myself even thinking a lot more about the sacrifice framework that I created about, yes, the sacrifice now makes sense, but later will I regret it? And what I also learned is if you don't have conversations with a person that's affected by your sacrifices, resentment builds, right? If you don't talk, say, listen, I know I have to go on this business trip again, but by securing these clients, that's what gets me the commission, right? If you're in the finances, to be able to, for us to take these wonderful vacations you enjoy, or to live in this house, or to send our kids to private school, or for you to have your spa treatments, right? If you're willing to let go of all that, and if I'm willing to let go of it, fantastic. I'll be home every day at 5 o'clock. Do you really want that or not? But you got to have those conversations.
But you gotta have the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. David, thank you so much. And again, the book is The
Certainly.
Sacrifice Paradox. And until next time, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Good. How you